Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kumbira Padra. Welcome to another episode of Afrolynk Expert Live. Tonight in the studio, we have Dr. Christian Lindfeld from African Advisors. Welcome, Dr. Christian.
Thank you, Kumbira. Thanks for having me in the session.
Okay, thank you. We also have Ricky Thomson from Safe Border in Uganda. Ricky, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing, my brother?
Fine, thanks. Fine, thanks. Nice that we can be able to talk now. Hope everything is okay on your side.
All right, yeah.
All good.
I hope so.
Okay. So, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just get straight into it. I'll start with Ricky. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and how Safe Border got to be started in brief? Yeah.
My name is Ricky Rapa Thomson. I'm a Ugandan who come from the northern part of this country. I came to Kampala, basically the story cuts from the year 2006, when I decided to leave home and move to town and then continue to the city to look for greener pastures. I made it to Kampala as a security guard, later on ventured into border as a professional motorcycle taxi rider. And then in 2012, I started the city tour company. And then in 2014, late 2013, after losing a friend, around 2014, myself, Max, and Alistair, the idea of Safe Border was born. And then we started it officially early 2015 as a team.
Great.
Okay. Interesting. So when you got to Kampala, you went there. The idea of Safe Border was not there. You started off as a security guard, but later on you joined Border, then to Safe Border. Then founded Safe Border.
So when I made it to Kampala, it was basically a survival mode at that time. It was the time when I was trying to look for something to do. It was the time that I lost access to education, because please be informed that I stopped in senior 4, which you could call Form 4. So I've not graduated from any university in the world. I don't think I will graduate, but it's God's willing I will. So because I have not, and then you have a doctor on the line as well. So I think I'm good here. Because I not graduated and I lost my mom at that time, who was the one behind my depression in the year 2006. And it was also at the point when where I wasn't in very, very good terms with my father, because he really wanted me to get married and take care of my other siblings. Because in the tradition, taking care of your sibling means your father giving you a small piece of land, you build a small hut, you get a woman inside there, she starts to cook. Every morning you wake up, go dig, and then come back home.
Okay.
And that was the life of my parents.
Interesting. Okay. We'll get back to that point. So going over to you, Doc. Can I call you Christian for the interview?
Please. I don't insist on the doctor, and Ricky, you don't need to be a doctor to be an entrepreneur. That's definitely a huge difference. So
okay. So yeah, can you also tell us a brief about African Advisors? When was it founded, and where you are now?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Africa Advisors is a small advisory boutique focusing on the African continent and the corridor to Europe and in particular Germany. Our footprint on the African continent reaches back to 2007, when my co-founding partner Klaus joined with KPMG in South Africa, developed various practices around doing business in Africa, also across the continent. I joined Klaus in 2014 in Johannesburg, and we developed a lot of things together within, at that time, KPMG. But also because of our experiences on the ground in Africa, we also discovered that we also should have a different approach, being a bit more pragmatic, flexible, reacting to the needs of the continent. So in 2019, early 19, we founded Africa Advisors. We focus on market entry, market expansion, impact investment, but also a huge part of our work is to help entrepreneurs and young startups, which is very important on the continent, because as you, Ricky, this is so important for the continent to have these guys on the ground, building new businesses, coming up with ideas. So I would say at the moment, even it's 50% of our work that we are involved with company building, startups. And maybe as an addition, from a German perspective, I'm also part of the German Startup Association. I'm running there the African to better to better establish an ecosystem between the startup spaces in Africa and in Germany.
Okay, I think I think that everyone else can hear you, but somehow I think I can't hear you. Ricky, can you hear Christian? Ricky?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. Can you hear Christian? Okay, yeah. So maybe the next question I'll direct it to you, Ricky. So as a tech startup and founder, what are the challenges that you've gone through and the support that you've also got and also the achievements that you have to date?
Kumbarai, I think Ricky is muted. Can you hear me?
Ricky, sorry, you've gone mute. We can't hear you.
Okay, now we lost our moderator, but in any case, I think Ricky, you are on mute. Can you maybe try to unmute, or even we ask the host in the background to help us?
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Hi guys, I couldn't hear you for a while, and
Okay.
also, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, now it's better. Yeah, sorry about it. I had to do some. Ricky, can you? I can't hear you, Ricky. Please unmute your. Please try and refresh again your page to Ricky. So, yeah, Christian, I'll then maybe proceed with you. And the next question I would ask is, in terms of African advisors, why Africa?
That's it's actually a good question. And I would like to answer it from two sides. One is a very personal side, meaning, I mean, when I was first in Africa, I fell in love with the continent, with the people. Here back in Germany, I do have one sister. Since I am active in Africa, I have many sisters and brothers, which gives you a completely different feeling if you go to the continent. When we lived in Africa, in South Africa, Johannesburg, my son grew up in Johannesburg. Our daughter was born even in Johannesburg, which now she's a South African, African-born lady, which is great. So there's also some emotional linkage to the continent, which is great. And a lot of friends, really good friends, we actually have in Africa. And from a business side, I mean, it's the last growth frontier, so to say, Africa. And back in Germany, when I did consulting, we always optimized or made something existing more efficient, which is at some point a bit boring. But in Africa, you can start from scratch. You can really build new things with a huge impact. And I think that's the difference. That's why Africa. And we are, even from a cultural perspective, not so far away. It's very close, how we do things, how we interact with each other. So yeah, I think it's great to do business in Africa, to meet great people. So I love the work I do, and I would not change it because there's so much to do. And a lot of people from the continent also echo that this corridor is needed. And yeah, great to have started Africa Advisors with that intention.
Speaking as an African, thank you very much for the initiative. Thank you very much. I'm also based in Germany, and I realize that Africa is a new frontier as well in terms from a German perspective. And thank you for being in the push, make more German companies conscious about the opportunities that are in Africa. Going back to you, Ricky, maybe I think you was not here the last time that you spoke. Well, you went off again, so we'll just continue on that in terms of from your perspective, Christian. So, do you think African startups are suited in this day and age of the COVID situation to help industry slash corporates during the COVID situation?
Yeah, I think it's very important to look at the startup scene at the moment, not only because of COVID, but now even more important, because the startups are a bit more flexible, pragmatic. They are on the ground. They know exactly what is needed. Most of them are digital natives. They are used to implement new technologies, new solutions. And for a lot of corporates, this is a huge step to do, to be now flexible, pragmatic, even during or especially during a crisis. So the startups definitely can help to go through the crisis, but even to go out even better and grow more than they already do. So I think it's important for corporates to liaise with them, to discuss opportunities. And most of the solutions we are currently seeing on the continent in Africa are based on startups or young entrepreneurs. There are huge examples. Just talked to a company from Ghana and Senegal. They are doing drones initially for a different purpose, but now they are using the drones to deliver test kits for COVID-19. So it's more pragmatic, it's more flexible. So it's definitely something corporates should consider, because the one size fits it all corporate approach does not work at the moment, and not in general in Africa. So it's a good fit between corporates and startups. And I would even say, without having startups on board in Africa, you won't be that successful accessing the continent as you are with startups. And look at Ricky. I mean, they know exactly the space, they know the needs, they grew up there. I mean, their insights you can't gain with desktop research in Europe or in Germany. It's not a theoretical exercise, so to say. You need to be on the ground, and you need to have the right partners, the right brothers and sisters on the ground. So there can't be a better fit than with startups in Africa.
Yeah, I think what you've just said is quite insightful. And over to you, Ricky. Justify the points that Christian has said now. Tell us, as a startup, tell us your successes, your challenges, and those that are helping you along the way, especially during this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. As Dr. did mention, the people who are on the ground have got a better understanding of the problem. And basically, I think here we usually say that for us as entrepreneurs, or for us as Africans who have a lot of challenges that some people tend to call it problems, we basically need to capitalize on those challenges and be able to build solutions and build opportunity, both for us and for other young people. And I think what he did mention that us being on the ground, we have got a doctorate in some of these issues, because we were part of it and we are still part of it. About like the successes, of course, for me or for us as Safe Border, we've entered in the industry that no one never thought something good would come out of it. We've been able to change the perception of the people about like the border industry. and I think our work has been recognized globally, and we are proud of this. Also now, because basically when we were coming in, the idea was born on the background of road safety. And today, because usually before our coming in, you never used to find a border guy stopping by the traffic light, respecting the traffic flow. You never used to find a border guy carrying one passenger. You never used to find a border guy carrying a helmet for a passenger. You never used to find the visibility and the good relationship that that the border industry has today. So of course, and also starting up from Uganda, where there's been very few success stories. Of course, there's been a lot of struggles when it comes to investment, when it comes to regulations, and when it comes to talent. These issues still exist, and I think it provides as well opportunities for other young people. So what I would say as our success, of course, there's been a great change in. There's been a mind shift. So people no longer think about crazy ideas as they used to. They no longer treat it with a lot of like, no, I think what you're saying doesn't make sense. It's never going to work. People are really more willing to listen. Government is giving us ears and giving us a lot of audience, and now starting to appreciate the work that we do. I think we are putting it very, very clearly, and government and other stakeholders are getting to realize the power and the importance of technology, and the credibility that actually we bring to the market that we belong to. So I think there's and also besides that, it's a first time. I think it's of course there's been other success stories, but for us we are sure that we've been the first to really understand the motorcycle taxi industry, especially in Africa, and started off from Kampala. We're able to expand to Nairobi. We're able to go up to Ibadan, West Africa. And now we're able even to diversify away from only rides and now get into other stuff, because there are so many opportunities that we realize that we could take advantage of, and be able to build other products for our people. So for us, it's been a completely different approach.
Sorry to cut you there. I want,
No
because I have I think I know what you guys do, but I don't. I want, please make it more practical. What does Safe Border do? Because I think our viewers don't really know what exactly you guys are doing. So that, I think that is very important. Yeah.
For people who are not Kampala, Safe Border is of course now there are two versions of us. So basically, in a nutshell, we would say we're a community of Kampala's best border drivers that are selected among the rest, trained, well equipped, and then we connect them to passengers using the platform. That is the app. Today, our app does not only provide rides, but we now deliver. We have gone as far as delivering food. We've gone as far as delivering essential items like medicine. We've also gone as far as providing a payment platform for the people who use our app, and we have also gone as far as supporting the people who are in the border, especially the drivers. And we have also built special products for them. Talk about insurance, talk about access to financial inclusion, basically things like loans, and empowering them through education as well. So in a nutshell, that's like more of what we do. Yeah, for people who are not in Kampala.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, because we've got a worldwide audience, and even for me, the first time I had border, I was sort of like, "What is this?" But now I've got a better understanding, and I mean, the initiative itself, it's quite innovative. Going to my next question now, over to you, Christian. What do you think are the opportunities that African startups can give to European corporates or companies, especially in line with what the things that have also been said by Ricky here?
Yeah. I think the African startups, they have a huge advantage in regards to how they do the startup itself. I mean, the way they innovate, the way they solve problems, because they are solving day-to-day problems from a logistics perspective, as Ricky said, from a safe perspective, from a payment perspective. So these are struggles people had already on a daily basis, but these startups, they have a clear focus on solving problems who make the daily life better. And that's also something we can definitely learn from a European perspective, how you innovate and how you put things together. And then one of the most important things we see on the African continent is that startups on the continent, they leapfrog. they jump over existing innovation steps to come up with even more and more innovative ideas. I mean, I think fintech is one of the best examples on the continent when it comes to micropayments, peer-to-peer payments. I mean, that was a leapfrog step no one would have expected from the African continent, but it came through Africa, which is great. So the way they innovate, the way they set it up and help people in their daily lives with startups and solutions, that's great. A lot of these startups are digital, like also SafeBorder with the platform, with the app. And that's also something. Digitalization is a huge issue also in Germany. It's of course we have maybe a bit better infrastructure, but also not really advanced. So we can definitely learn, and digitalization will be a topic for the next century, so to say. And we need to look into it, who can deliver these solutions. And guys like you, Ricky, I mean, building on such a platform, even adding more services like the platform business, it's easy, and you already learned it. And we are also only slowly progressing on this in Germany and in Europe. So I think there are various angles where we can work together and learn from each other and leverage it.
Thank you. Ricky, this was going to be following up on what Christian has said. What opportunities do you see from a practical point of view from SafeBorder into the other sectors? I want to give an example. Probably right now we are concentrating more as Afrolynk when what we call the post-COVID Big Five, in terms of in health, in terms of in agriculture, in terms of in fintech, in terms of already you guys are in logistics, and also in digitalization or e-learning. What collaborations or opportunities do you see within these different sectors?
I think I will start from how we've been able to transition. And as I did mention earlier on, we came in as basically a ride-hailing company. Of course, we've made it today. We're proud to say we are the #1 ride-hailing app for motorcycle taxis in Africa, and we are proud of that. But immediately when we entered in the market, thank you. But immediately when we entered in the market, it became very, very difficult to actually break events and reach profitability. And I think many startups go through that kind of challenge because you realize that most of the biggest ride-hailing companies or ride-hailing apps across the world will basically focus on only ride-hailing. I think many of them has not yet reached profitability. So really, like it's a big struggle for many big companies. So what we did, and we started now transitioning and moving into other sectors has been like a very good interest for us, but also it's been a lot of collaboration and understanding. Because what happened is when we entered the industry, we had maybe 20 drivers. By the end of 2015, we had what? We had 150 drivers. By the end of 2016, we had like 1,000 drivers. The numbers kept on growing. Now, those drivers kept engaging us and presenting to us the challenges and the issues that they had. Now, also over time, now number of customers grew to now over 1 million customers. And now these customers kept on engaging us and asking us and saying, but what about if I can do more with my SafeBorder app? What about now if I can send parcels with my SafeBorder app? What about now if I can order for medicine with the SafeBorder app? And then we started thinking, so we have a pipeline. We on the pipeline, we have so many things that we want to do. And we believe that with the help of everybody, we are going to be able to build a super app for Africa by Africans in Africa. So we think that we will be able to achieve that, but with the support of everybody, global investors, local leaders, everybody, with the help of everybody. We think we shall be able to achieve that. Now, also we realize that even if we just keep innovating alone, we might not be able to achieve the dream. And now very many other organizations kept on reaching out to us with a number of challenges and saying, Ricky, I want to work on this. Can we work on this together? Ricky, we want to work on this. Can we work on it? And to the different organizations, we get to realize, oh, there are these opportunities. Now, this is something that I really want people to know, that when the COVID just entered, when COVID entered Uganda, that was around, when we went into the lockdown, that was around 22nd of March. When we entered the lockdown, people were like, what next now? SafeBorder was only known for doing rides. We were not known for doing parcels deliveries. Of course, we already started doing food deliveries, but people never thought that we could even be able to enter like the normal market. So we engaged the KCCA, Kampala City Council Authority, and they told us, look, we want people to remain at home, but we're looking for a solution for the market vendors. There are these mamas who actually sell nyanya. Nyanya is tomatoes, onions, butungulu, carrots, and all these things in the market. But there's no solution for that, because now people have to leave home and go to the markets. Can you guys come up with something? This was like a week towards, this was 2 weeks towards the lockdown. We sat together with Jumia plus other companies, and we said we are going to do something. And for us as a company, because it was already part of our plan, we just decided to go hard on our engineers and build a system. And in a week's time, we had the system up and running, and we actually did free deliveries for people. I think up to now, we're still doing some of the deliveries free, basically as a promotion, but also as a direct support to people during the lockdown. So that came as a result of the collaboration. But also, UNCDF reached out to us and said, Ricky, it said, Safe Border, you guys are trying to work on this. Can we partner and work out together? We are able to sponsor. We're able to give you the support that you need. And boom, we got the support, and we're like, let's do this. We did the launch, we invited the minister, and we're able to push it forward. So I think right now, COVID-19 has waken up a lot of, it has proven that so many things were actually right. And it has also waken up a lot of things that many people never paid close attention to. Because let me tell you, no one would think that a conference would be done like this. No one never thought that they could be able to deliver even when they are at home. No one ever thought that they will wake up and the company is running and call centers are running from people's houses and not in like one big room. And today, and no one ever thought that they will be able to buy fresh products from the market using any platform. That solution was not there. No one ever thought that payment would be as easy as it is today with the help of Safe Border platform. No one. And today, with the coming in of COVID, we have proven that technology is going to take over, and everyone needs to embrace technology, and we all need to be part of this journey. And I keep on telling my leaders that if you do not invest in technology, then don't worry. The future is going to come, and you're going to pay a fortune. You're going to lose all your money in importing the technology that's been built by other people. And this has always been my line of argument. Yeah.
But it's brilliant to hear that story. It exactly shows what I just said. I mean, learning from these brilliant stories, it's so amazing, because you are real entrepreneurs. You are dealing with challenges. If they arise, you come up with new solutions. You are not having fixed structures like the old economy in Europe or in the Western world. I mean, you are more pragmatic, flexible, and that's something from a mindset perspective and characteristics we definitely need to learn. And working together will bring these characteristics also to the so-called old economy, which is not as fast, not as pragmatic. I haven't seen too many of German companies changing the business model as you did within the last 7-8 weeks, which is brilliant. And definitely we need to talk more about these success stories on the continent, because that makes the difference for the people and for the continent the way forward to even come stronger out of the crisis than we went in.
That's very true. Ricky, I love it. I forgot today, sorry to our viewers. Usually we always have time to read their messages. And guys, sorry, it's been an intriguing conversation, and we continue with it. Go to the messages. Smanga says watching from South Africa. Kibiti Chumailo ever there. Hello, everybody from South Africa again. We have Tofara Chokera, great to be here watching from Zimbabwe. Sam Tima from Cometa in South Africa. He says, greeting colleagues, I'm happy to be with you. Thank you, Sam. You're always with us and the Cometa team. Then Smanga again says, Ricky, you have graduated in the School of African Entrepreneurship. You are a doctor. So from now on, I'm going to call you Dr. Ricky.
It's my dream to be. It's my childhood dream to become a doctor. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes, you're already a doctor in entrepreneurship. We have Rutendo, hi Rutendo, watching from Zimbabwe. Julius Pule says, closely watching. Stephen Kafula says, yes, my boss, I love this. Yes, Pius Onapa, Safe Border partnership with UNCDF. Thank you for watching. We have Sempida Ivan watching from Kampala, Ronata Mehore, stream living from Kenya. Yeah, we have people from all over the world. And thank you guys for watching and continue watching and supporting us. I want to go back to you now, Christian. In terms of, Ricky has said, you mentioned just now in terms of the opportunities that the African startups, with the practical example, that the African startups have taken in this crisis, and they have not taken them as problems, but they've seen them as opportunities. So, in your role as African advisors, the way you advise German companies that want to invest into Africa, how do you see a collaboration between African startups with the German organizations or companies that want to get into the African market?
I mean, African startups, as I said earlier, they are on the ground, they are very innovative, they know the challenges on the ground, and I mean, they are used to digital solutions. I mean, that's one thing which is very important. On the other side, if you look at the corporates who are looking into the African continent, what are they looking for? So either they want to source in Africa, meaning getting products or services from Africa, or they are looking for customers. And in both cases, I think startups are really important because Ricky knows exactly the customers. You said nearly 1 million users on your platform, on Safe Border. I mean, that's knowledge and insights which are brilliant to understand the customers, their needs, and so on, which is, as I said, you can't do it with the desktop research. You need to be on the ground. So finding new customers together with the solutions. And even if you look into big corporates, like the automotive industry, we've seen Volkswagen, VW, when they did the market entry with the car sharing in Rwanda, they've chosen a local startup to build the platform because they could have done it in Germany, in the US, or in China, but they've chosen a local startup to help them understand the market, the way people are using these type of services. So that's very important. So reaching out into the areas where you are looking at as a German European company helps a lot. Liaising with startups. I mean, there are so many innovation hubs, accelerators. There are examples like Safe Border and even more. I think it's not a waste of time to liaise with them. And a few years back here in Germany or Europe, a lot of CEOs, they all traveled to Silicon Valley to understand the startups and the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Now, we even had, also with the German Startup Association, a lot of requests to say, well, why should we not go to Africa? Why not visit Kenya? Why not visit Uganda, Rwanda, South Africa, Ghana, Senegal, Nigeria, where you also have these developments to understand huge markets which are growing very, very fast. So the opportunities are on the ground. And yeah, that's also what we do as Africa Advisors, to facilitate this, to bring the right people together. And it's not only about doing advisory work, it's really helping to build this, helping structuring businesses, helping also finding finance, getting investors in, or risk money, investment money into the African continent as well.
Okay, yeah, just to follow up to that, I wanted to then to ask, in your role as part of the German Startup Association, you're the head of the Africa Network. What does the Africa Network do? And to our startups and entrepreneurs who are also watching from Africa, what can they learn or also benefit from the Africa Network?
Yeah, the German Startup Association is an association for the startups in Germany, mainly. That's how it started. And the vision is to improve the startup ecosystem in Germany from a political perspective, from a investor's perspective, regulatory perspective. And at some point, the association discovered, okay, we are not alone. There are many other successful startup areas, ecosystems in the world. So let's connect with them. So I think one of the first connections was with America, then also Israel, China. And I started now 18 months ago, the Africa corridor and network to say, well, we can learn a lot from Africa. And mainly we have like 4 targets. One is simply connect with people like Ricky, with the startups on the ground to see what they are doing. And then we exchange. How are you doing things? How do you see the same problems? Is it the financing? Is it finding the right people? Is it a technology issue? So from connecting, exchange, but then also doing business together. So you might have the best platform for mobility services, but maybe in Germany we are building electric vehicles you can use, we can import. So there are angles to also collaborate. And I think the 4th target is to also say, can we influence institutions, governments to help startups even better, to make the ecosystem around the startups better? And that's also something we want to work together on. And also, yeah, that's the startup ecosystem, and that's the corridor to Africa.
Thank you very much. Ricky, over to you. So what opportunities do you see now and post-COVID within the logistics sector, or maybe if you want to put maybe in a startup sector in Africa, talking to your fellow startups that are across the African continent? Because we now need also to prepare for post-COVID. So what opportunities do you see going forward?
Thank you. I think the truth of the matter is one thing that has happened to us, especially the entrepreneurs who come from this part of the region or this part of the world, where there's been very, very few success stories, where there's been very few things that people look up to. There's been proof that what we do makes sense and the country needs it. And I see now that the authorities are running to us and asking us for more solutions. Can you provide more solution in this area? Can you provide more solution in this area? Can you provide more solution in this area? So I think there are 2-3 things that are going to happen. One is companies, some companies are definitely going to die completely, unfortunately, if they don't make the necessary adjustment to live after COVID. Because what COVID has done has leveled the ground. It has set a bit of a pace. And I think post-COVID is more worrying to me because I see that if you don't embrace certain things, you'll definitely be left behind. To the young people and to the people who understand and appreciate and embrace technology, I think it's now time for you to make the noise. It's now time for you to make the necessary noise. We don't call it noise, we call it necessary noise here. Necessary noise means to talk about the things that you know, present the problem that you understand best. Yeah. And then we shall have people and the authorities are going to be more willing to listen to us. Because what we have done right now is we are using the opportunity to pave the way so that after COVID-19, we don't go through the hassle that some of us went through, that you actually need to present to the government 10, 12 times to make them understand that what you're doing actually makes sense. I think many of them are taking a lot of time in understanding what technology is and relating to the work that other countries have done. Because there was only one example that I could give to the government, or there was only one example that we could give to the government when it came to the market. We told them that there's a market that exists, there's a country that exists called Indonesia. And in that country, there's a company that is exactly like what Safe Border is, called Gojek. They have been able to organize the border industry. They have been able to build an e-payment platform. They have been able to allow people access many other services just from one ride-hailing app. We also made an argument that when you go to China, you can pay using Alipay, but you can also buy stuff using the same app. So really, I think it's time. I think it's really time, and I think time has come. And many young people who have been trying this, I think it's time now. One, because one big issue that we have here is the fact that entrepreneurs are so scarce.
Sorry, we can't. Okay, yes, go ahead. I can't hear you. We can't hear you. We seem to have lost Ricky there, but interesting point. Are you back, Ricky? Can you hear us? Can you hear me? Okay, please go ahead. We can't hear you. Okay, try and, yeah, okay. So try and refresh again. We can't hear you. Okay. So before, there's a question but it's for Ricky. Before we go to that question, I see Tsitsim Tendi. Hi, Tsitsi. Tsitsi recently formed African family firms, something that goes hand in hand with something that you're passionate about, the German Mittelstand, or the German family businesses. How do you see, because for Africa, it's a new phenomenon altogether, but it may be the reason why, as Africa, our businesses don't grow from generation to generation. How do you see the importance of family businesses and family organizations? And how do you see any collaborations in that sector?
I would say let's split it. One is the African side, and one is the German side of the family businesses. I think in Africa, the concept of family, of community, it's not new. It's even better than what we see at the moment. I mean, it's brothers and sisters, and you are working together, taking care of each other. We are a very much individualized society in the Western world. So it's not a new concept for Africa. But of course, a lot of businesses are only about to be established at the moment. So the way you set it up in Africa should already consider not like a public company. It should maybe be like a family business, to already think in generations, so that you build it the way it's long-term orientated, sustainable, because you also want to have your children participating in the business, continuing with the business. So I think the concept of a family business, thinking in generations, is nothing new for Africa. In the communities, in the culture, it's very deeply rooted. So I think that's something, when all these entrepreneurs on the continent now start their businesses, they should have that in mind. And I guess naturally it's already in the culture. From a German perspective, I think family businesses are best suited to do or to work with Africa, to do the market entry. They already think in generations. Some of them are there since 1 or 2 centuries, even established in the 18th century, something like this. They already handed over 3, 4, maybe 5 generations. And they know what it means to think in generations instead of like a quarterly report for your investors. The family businesses, they also know how to care about the community, how to source locally, to engage with social projects and so on. I think there is a perfect match, because you also need to have this long-term orientation when you go to Africa. And I think it's in the DNA of family businesses. It's there. So they are best suited to work together with Africa, and also to match the characteristics you need to be successful. And you also need to talk on the same level, on the same, with the same language, because the Africans, they are a big family.
That's true. Thank you very much. Ricky, are you back? There are a lot of questions that are directed to Ricky here in terms of, but I'm just happy. We've got someone from, while we wait for Ricky, we've got Dixon Sadia from Mozambique. I will try and speak Portuguese. Obrigado por esses programas que ilumina África, mas peco que chegou a Moçambique este muito atrasado quanto a empreendedorismo e outras áreas de Volmento. Thank you we recently started as Afrolynk a program in Mozambique in terms of entrepreneurship. So I'm sure that is one of our entrepreneurs, and it's always nice to have people watching from all over the world. Yes. I hope my Portuguese was good.
I couldn't understand.
Christian, yes, so continuing with you, what do you see? I mean, I like what both you and Ricky have said in the context that collaboration is essential from both sides. And also, as Afrolynk, we always say we don't compete, we collaborate. How do you envisage the collaboration between African startups or African businesses with the European businesses as well? Ideally, in your context, from an African advisor's perspective.
I mean, in an ideal world, I would say it's not one direction. It's not only coming from Europe or Germany to Africa and leverage through startups what is existing on the ground. So it has to be both ways. And I think as a startup in Africa, you are also looking for customers, you are looking for partners, you are looking also for maybe different sources when it comes to your product, where you source from, and so on. So it's really not only one direction. We have to understand Africa and Europe or Germany as a corridor. And in this corridor, you can go in both directions. And that's the importance. And if we start to understand that it's not only like in the past, Africa has to learn from Europe. I mean, that's nonsense because Africa is not Europe. So why should you learn from Europe? Because you have different circumstances, you have a different environment. So if Europe or Germany wants to be successful in Africa, we have to learn from Africa, not the other way around. And we have to have partnerships at the same level. We have to accept this. And that's very crucial for the success. And this is a shift in mindset for business people, for people in Europe, in Africa. And I think if that's already in place, if people understand how important this is to act together in a real partnership, I think these will be the successful examples. Doesn't matter what sector. I think most of the sectors we see, there are potential areas for partnerships, cooperation, and do business together. And a lot of sectors are needed in Africa still to grow, to develop, but with the African lens and with the African flavor and the African needs. And if we consider that, I think both sides will be successful. And maybe to add on this, Africa is a young continent. It will grow by far faster and with more people than we see in Europe. So this will be the use of the future. The use of the future will be in Africa. So the workforce will be in Africa. So the way we leverage when we come up with new solutions, services, this will all be in Africa. Africa understands already more how to enable things, like Ricky mentioned, changing business models very fast and so on. So I think there is a great future. And I mean, we are neighbors, Europe and Africa. We are closer neighbors than with China or the US at the moment, and we should leverage this neighborhood.
Thank you very much. We seem to have lost Ricky, because there were quite a number of questions, and to our viewers, sorry about that. This is also what happens when we're not in the same house together or in the same room together. Technology also sometimes gets a bit in the way, but we will try as much as possible to get answers back to you. This is to Sam, this is to Isha, this is to Metro Asana, and Namuli Kristen. Thank you it's an honor to have you as well. Brenda, thank you for joining in as well. As a last, as we close, Kristen, it's been quite an interesting talk. It's been quite insightful. I mean, the way both sides and I mean, the easy thing that has come from this talk is that there's need for collaboration. There's need for collaboration from both sides, but there's also need for collaboration with understanding the local cultures from both sides as well. What works here and what works the other side. In conclusion, what would your last words to our audience watching from all over the world?
It's sometimes hard to put it in one sentence, but I think what you just said is let's work together. It's really, and there's also effort needed from Europe, from Germany, to really go into the market, to be on the ground, to meet people like Ricky. I mean, seeing all the comments now, I mean, that how people comment, how amazing the work is he's doing. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And even if you would tell his story in Europe, I mean, people would be hooked and amazed by what they achieved. So we should reach out to a broader community to tell all these success stories. We also started a campaign on our LinkedIn channel about the African optimism, to really tell these stories together with people on the ground. So let's work together. Let's also do business together. It's not only chatting. We also need to realize and implement our ideas, which is great. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to have more of these experience or expert talks with you guys, with people like Ricky on the ground. And yeah, it was not one sentence, sorry, but
No. That was befitting. Thank you very much, Dr. Christian Lindfeld from African Advisors and Ricky Thomson from Safe Border tonight. I think we need to continue this talk as well. Ricky, there are a lot of questions attributed to you that you need to answer as well to the audience. And to Dr. Christian, thank you for being part of the Afrolynk family. Thank you for being a mentor as well within the Afrolynk family, and definitely we'll do more collaborations. We cannot go without talking to Dr. Thomson from Uganda. Dr. Thomson, are you back?
I think I am finally back. Something
okay.
has been happening.
Sorry. We just we're running out of time, but quickly, I just have a question for you. I think it was an important question that came from Sam Tsima. He says, Ricky, how do you plan to expand Safe Border into the rest of the continent? Are you considering franchising or branch network? I think the entire continent market will make good use of Safe Border. Sam is based in South Africa.
I think for now it's very early to say if we as a company want to take either of the two angles, but we will see what time what happens after possibly a couple of months from now. As of today, Safe Border has definitely decided to expand on its own. So we've moved from Kampala. We've created another Safe Border in Kenya. We call it Safe Border Kenya, which is an independent entity, but then connected to the Safe Border Holding, which is the global company that owns all the safe borders. So we shall see what happens. I kind of find it very early to say if to decide right now here if we're going to do a franchise or we're going to go by ourselves. Yeah, but it's a very interesting question because many people are asking the same, and most times most of the people asking us those questions, they want a franchise. So I need to be careful on how I respond to them.
Okay, guys, it's been an honor to have you on the show. It's now 1900 hours, and from Afrolynk Expert Live team, we thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and we don't compete, we collaborate. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.